Okay. Yes, tell me. Can I start? Yeah, I will start.
Sure.
1 second. I will share my slide. Yeah. Okay, well, students, good afternoon. And we were talking about West Sanskritization and Westernization in the last class. But before I go to modernization, which is spoken by M.N. Srinivas, I will like to say about the Sanskritization and Westernization which has occurred, which was being analyzed, and how they are different for M.N. Srinivas. And because Srinivas is one scholar in sociology who is very important for any UPSC, UGC, or any other examination you actually build in for. So I will touch upon the criticisms of westernization, and if there is any doubts, I will be happy to answer in future. So, as to say that the concepts of Sanskritization and Westernization primarily analyze the social change in cultural and not in structural terms. What does it mean? It that there is a cultural variation, but there is not always a structure which changes in this context. This denotes that the terms are limited range of application, and Srinivas model explained the process of social change only in India based on the caste system, and it is not useful for the other societies. Bruce Srinivas claimed that the concept of westernization is ethically neutral and not a reality. The Western model which Srinivas was talking about mentions and made the Western life such as racial prejudices, color segregations, exploitative nature, the fact contradictions which was there. It is commented that the Western model, which Srinivas has talked about, has its own contribution and has contradictions, and the Western model sometimes conveys values that are contrary to ones referred by Srinivas. In this context, mention can be made in the fact of Western lifestyles such as racial prejudices, color segregation, exploitative nature of Western economy, and the fact to contradict the humanitarian one. A very well-known scholar who has spoken about it, and he has raised objections for the understanding of westernization, was Daniel Lerner, has raised some objections to use westernization as a concept by Srinivas. It was too local label and a model imitated by not Western country but Russia. One of the results of prolonged contact with the West is the rise of the elite class and the Western class. Lehner referred to the appeal of communalism in the non-Western societies, and westernization in the one area or level of behavior does not result to westernization in the another level. While there are certain common elements in westernization, yet it represents a particular variant of common culture, and significant difference exists between one country to the another. So what is the difference between Sanskritization and westernization? Sanskritization is a process promoted the sacred outlook, because the person is moving from the Shudra community to or the untouchable community to the twice born community. It is a sacred outlook. And the Western process is promoted by a secular outlook, means we are moving towards a most advanced society. Sanskritization is a process of upward mobility by the process of imitation. Means imitate a Brahmin community or a Kshatriya community and you move on. Westernization is a process of upward mobility by process of development. Sanskritization implies mobility within the framework of the caste system, while Westernization implies the mobility outside the framework of the caste system. While Sanskritization puts a taboo on eating meat, consumption of alcohol, if you are moving to a higher community which does not eat all these things or as a commensal relationship like this, but Westernization promotes such behavior because it is modern to a modern society. So the third concept which Srinivas gave in understanding in his book Social Change in India. So the third thing which Srinivas wanted to facilitate or give it to us when he was understanding things. So that was the concept of modernization. That was the concept of modernization, which is another very well understood concept for by Srinivas, and he was actually trying to have a lot of understanding on it in the book called The Social Change in Modern India, which was written in 1971. I wanted to show you that book because it is a very important reference for the context which we are talking about. Okay, so I come down to modernization and discuss modernization today, and then I will go to studying class. Okay, the modernization do not denote any philosophy or movement, but it symbolizes the process of change. In fact, modernization is understood as a process which indicates the adoption of the modern way of life and values. The term was being used to previously to refer to the change in economy and its relative effect on social values and practices. Today, the term modernization is understood as an attempt on the part of the people, particularly who are custom bound to adopt themselves in the present time, conditions, styles, and the way in general. A very leading scholar, Smelser, speaks about modernization. Modernization is a complex set of change that plays almost in every part of the society, and it attempts to be industrialized. Modernization involves ongoing change in the society, economy, politics, education, tradition, and religion. According to Atlas, there was a very interesting observation made by Atlas. Modernization is the process by modern scientific knowledge and introduced in the society, an ultimate process of achieving a better and more satisfactory life in a broad sense in the terms as expected in the society. So there were various scholars other than Srinivas who also defines modernization. Modernization also denotes the philosophy or movement but symbolizes the process of change. It has the adoption of the modern life and the social change where there is technology, where there is innovation, there is an economic change, there is a social change, the social change where you adopt the style of life as well as you keep on giving the styles and preference and recreation in the society. Okay.
Something morning different here.
Okay, sorry, I really got a little disconnected. So this is how modernization was explained by the different scholars in speaking style, tastes, choices, preferences, ideas, values, recreation facilities. What is the criteria of modernity now? Or the measure of modernity, like we have the rostral and the board mentions some measures of modernization. Their industrialization and economy adopted a scientific technology in industry, agriculture, dairy farming, etc. to make them highly productive. Secularization of ideas, geographical, social, the spread of scientific and technical education, ascribe and achieve status, an increase in material standard of living, high proportion of working force employed, and secondary and tertiary rather than primary production, high expectancy of life at birth, relatively greater measure of public participation in politics. What are the causes of modernization? Very important, students. This is a very important part of your preparation when you prepare for UPSC. Myron Weiner speaks about five main instruments which make modernization possible. Because many a times in questioning also, when the questions come, when you have to speak also during the interview, these become very important. First is education. Education in pertaining to science and technology provides a basics of modernization. It increases number of people, modern skills, attitude, technological innovation, and then reason why the recent education and mass communication almost is important. Mass communication, the process of modernization, hinges on the phenomena of mass communication. The development of mass communication by newspaper, periodicals, magazines, TV, radio are important means of spreading modern ideas at a faster rate. The function of mass communication is to open up a larger community ideology based on nationalism and democracy, and nationalism is concerned with national awareness, nationalistic ideology, plural society, and political elite system. Then modernization also makes you a charismatic leader. The charismatic leader is a better position to impress upon people, to adopt modern beliefs, values, practices, behavior patterns, and help in national development. Cohesive government authority is strong and stable government may adopt cohesive measures to compel people to accept modern values and ways of life. It brings pressure on people to follow modern ways and practice. What is the impact of modernization? We have modern means of production, we have industrialization of economy, we have revolutionized production, we have discredited traditional occupations where unemployment increase and caste form labor sphere. Less restricted and other spread of scientific and technology education, adopting science, technology in agriculture, literacy and media, life efficiency for this. So this is about caste as a system, and what M.N. Srinivas has talked about Sanskritization, Westernization and liberalization and modernization. Very important in your part of the syllabus. So now I go to one of the parts where first let me look at the UPSC syllabus which madam has shared with me. So we have been able to talk about the discipline. We are able to talk about something on the thinkers. We have been talking about, we will talk about little more about Talcott Parson or Robert Martin in future. And we have talked about stratification, we have spoken about mobility, as well as we have spoken about something which we have to speak about Indian society, caste, although I will come in detail that what is Indology as per Gurrier, what is structural functional as per M.N. Srinivas, and Marxist sociology as per Desai. Okay, so I'll come here later. So somewhat in case of caste system, I was able to talk about it so that it is easy to link with it. Lewis Dumont, which is there in your syllabus, speaks about homo hierarchicus. Andhra Pradesh speaks about caste, class, and power in Tanjore village. J.S. Gurrier also speaks about the caste system in India. M.N. Srinivas talks about the religion and society in among the course. All these are important readings. So we come little to the class. We love to the class system, so that we can little talk about class. Okay, so let us go to the lecture of class. Okay, because class is also a part of stratification, and there is a full section of stratification. So let me talk about class. Okay, so this is how I will talk about class as a fourth lecture. What is class? Class position is an economic hierarchy occupied by individuals or families with similar access to control over material resources. There can be working class, there can be professional class, there can be social class, a large of individuals who share similar occupational, educational, income, wealth positions, and thus who share similar amount of prestige. What is a class structure? Relatively permanent economic hierarchy comprising different social classes. Socio-economic status, person's social status within the economic hierarchy is based in income, education, and occupation. So, what is a social class? What determines a social class? A social class is valued possession, that is cash, land, building, property, and that they are have. And in income, power, how many people are there, respect of the people, position, resources for the class. So how do you measure social class? Firstly, you measure social class by subjective approach, self-placement, asking people where they think they fit into the social class. Middle class seems to be catch-all category for most of them. Reputational class, asking people who may be well informed to the act as judged. Best in the small towns in population where life does not change much. And object, objective approach, ask respondents several questions about themselves and then use the data for placement purposes. Means indicators may be income, occupation, health, wealth, and those items that can make up person's socio-economic status. In distribution terms, levels of income, wealth, education, occupational prestige, and power, different classes enjoy different levels of rewards and occupy distinct structural positions within a given social economy. Two key factors are whether or not members of the class own their means of chatting, creating significant wealth, whether they exercise substantial authority over the others. Four possible combinations: capitalist class, workers class, managers class, and bourgeoisie class. What is an upper class? High level professionals and managers, virtually all have advanced degrees, live in suburbs, play central roles in the civic organization, often play roles in the city government, are more ethically diverse than the upper class. Okay, lower class are where indicators most husbands and wives work, folk eat and often, drive relative, inexpensive, and kids are sent to public institutions and higher educations, and they own their own homes, buying them. Lots of powerless and economic feeling in this class. Upper middle class lays down rules that must be followed. There's something called the working class also. That line separates of the lower middle class and the working class. Indicators are they earn a set of money, skilled craftsmen they are, low level clerical sales office, drive used cars, and live in the modest neighborhood must sacrifice to eat out and go for a vacation. Working poor. This is also a very sorted out question everywhere in the entrance. Working work is full and part time. They are wage laborers. They have a paycheck. They really receive benefits. They sometimes high school is completed or a grade of earned, and job skills minorities are overrepresented in the group. Underclass are lack of employment, little or no job, income below this. Most of the income is through form of public assistance, primarily made up minority of the group, experience many social problems, and only with a half of those born, pay problem is getting more difficult to overcome these days. Social mobility. It is an individual or a group position within the social hierarchy. Intergenerational movement that takes place across the generation. Very important. Social mobility is a very important topic for your UPSC pay. Please pay attention. Is a change in an individual or group position within the social hierarchy. We can have intergenerational movement that takes place across generations. Intrageneration movement that takes place within the person's lifetime. Other kinds of mobility are upward, downward, horizontal, with experience, or other ways of looking at it is positional mobility, structural mobility that takes place. But there is a decline. There was a period that was a decline of middle class, and the social mobility stalled out over the past decade because of deindustrialization, new jobs, corporate downsizing, changing of countries. There was a decline in this. What is the importance? I will share these slides with you. You can go through the importance of social class. What is a poor? We are looking at poverty. Many people have spoken about poverty. What is poverty as per various definitions are important. So, writing focus on 19th century Europe in industrial capitalism, and when we talk about modes of production. When we talk about class, we need to talk about modes of production given by Marx. Means of production, that is technology, capital, investment, raw materials used in the production. Social relations of production and main classes involved in the production. So there are two main classes, bourgeoisie and the proletariat, and secondary class is the petty bourgeoisie, independent owner, producer, farmer, small business owners. These are very important. What did Marx define exploitation as? It is a wage laborers are the result of surplus value when they proceed to the sales and goods, and laborers surplus value of the profit. But a very important concept which was discussed by Marx was class conflict, and conflict is between the major classes between the mode of production, is driving force behind social change, and innovation of capitalism may replace socialist mode of production. Okay, so what is class consciousness? Theorize workers to develop class consciousness. Recognition by members of a class of their shared interest and opposition to the members of another interest would lead to revolutionary upheavals and eventually class society based on collective ownership and means of production. Response, lot of criticism were there. Later on, socialist systems came up, and then we can talk about Weber's stratification. Weber spoke about power and the ability that there is structural basis of power. There is a class distribution. Power is derived from the position in economic hierarchy. Status is a power derived from culturally and socially defined position occupies a person. Party is a political party. Power defines as one location of the three structures. Give emphasis to social stratification to power. Claim that a larger variety of class positions than in Marxian theory. Emphasizes on life chances, opportunities for higher standards and better quality of life that is available for the members of society. So, one very important theory of stratification was given by Davis and Moore, who speaks about inequality exists in all societies must be necessary. All societies have occupational roles that need to be filled, with some roles requiring more training than others, greater rewards necessary to encourage people to undertake extended training and fill these important roles. Social equality is therefore necessary and inevitable. Criticism theory does not account the following: huge income and wealth, gender differences in income, and the same type of work, inherited wealth are witness of donating most important roles and criticizing its done. Lenski. Lenski also spoke about technology and stratification. Society's technology base largely determine degree of inequality. Today it is very important. Lenski's definition is very important in present days further. Owners of means of production need to rely upon well-educated managerial and technical technology. Reliance gives rise to demands of the greater proportion of the growing wealth in industrial society. Employers give in the demand because they cannot produce the wealth without the workers. Envision movement towards an equal distribution of wealth. Then we have White, who was a neo-Marxist theory of class, who was talking about the industrial capitalism matured, the middle class has grown and become diverse. Emphasize contradictory class location and occupational grouping where divided loyalty. Also identify three class of owners and nine class of wage laborers. Argued exploitation of one class by another can occur. Control of property or means of property, ownership of skill or credentials, or by the high position within the society. What did Parkin say? Parkin said that developed in Weber's concept of social equilibrium. Methods used to most powerful maintain their unequal access to status and to exclude others from such access. Two types of closure, two types of strategies are exclusion and organized efforts and privileges made more powerful groups to maintain an advantage position. Efforts of excluded groups to gain advantages and power at expense of more powerful groups than the women. Then we talk about the cultural capital. Postmodernism we come to when we talk about class. Habitus. Each class has its own cultural background, knowledge distribution and taste that is transmitted through their family. That is very important today. That their cultural background, it is come knowledge is distribution and class taste that is transmitted from the family. Cultural capital, the habit is valued socially and culturally by the society, by those in power have transferred their status, power of economic capital. Habitus as a social and a cultural currency. The cultural capital of a dominant group in the society holding the power and wealth, because becomes the knowledge of the most valued in the school. The cultural capital means one is considered as educated, smart and talented. So there are many readings on caste which you can go on and when you read about caste. Okay, so now I will go to the next slide which talk about a very important concept in the country, which is tribes. I will just start it today and I will not try to finish it because it is a big topic. So I will only talk about the tribes, but I will not finish it. Tomorrow I will, again, when next Monday I talk about it, I will talk. So, what is a tribe? We have spoken about the caste. We have spoken about the class as a social stratification unit, and tribes are also communities in the country. So, very important again, as per your syllabus, that you should know what is a tribe in the country. A tribe is a group of people by Oxford English Dictionary in a primitive or barbarous stage of development, acknowledging the authority of the chief and usually regarding themselves as having a common ancestor. D.N. Majumdar was one of the leading writers of tribes, and tribe is a social group with territorial affiliation. Endogamous means they marry within themselves. No specification of functions ruled by tribal officers, hereditary or otherwise united in language or dialect, recognizing social differences between other tribes or caste. According to Ralph Linton, tribal is a group of bands occupying contiguous territories and territory and having a feeling of unity deriving from numerous similarities in culture, frequent contact, and a certain community of interest. Ellen Lewis defines tribal society as a small in scale and are restricted in spatial and temporal range, and their social, legal, political relationships, and possessing a morality, a religion, and worldview of corresponding dimension. Characteristically, two tribal languages are unwritten and hence our extent of communication both in time and space is inevitable narrow. At the same time, tribal societies exhibit a remarkable economy of design and have a compactness and self-efficiency through lacking in modern society. There are some features of tribes in Indian context. T.B. Nayak writes about it, about the following context, and first among them is a tribe should have a functional interdependence within the community. It should be emotionally backward and a primitive means of exploiting neutral force resources. Tribal economy should be underdeveloped stage and it should be multifarious economic pursuits. They should have a comparative geographical isolation of its people. They should have a common dialect. Tribal should be politically organized and community panchayat should be affluential. The tribe should have a customary law, and as per Nayak argued that the community to be a tribal, it should possess all the above mentioned characteristics and very high level of acculturation with outside society debars it from being a tribe. Thus, the term usually denotes a social group bound together by kin and duty and associated with a particular territory. Okay, geographical locations of tribe. Tribal in India have 5 languages: the Andamanese, the Austroasiatic, the Dravidian, Tibeto-Burman. Okay, it is an important point of those tribals who belong to different language families in distinct geographical settings. For example, South Orissa are a language originated from Central Dravidian family, Austroasiatic Munda family, and Indo-Aryan family. In Jharkhand area, languages from Indo-Aryan, North Dravidian, and Austroasiatic tribe live in the 5 territories. The Himalayan belt, that is the Assam, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, hills of Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. The central India is the Bihar, Bengal, Orissa and Madhya Pradesh. 55% of the tribal population live in this belt. Western India, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa, Dadar, Nagar Haveli, and the Dravidian region where we have Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Tamil. And we have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Lakshadweep Islands. Tribals account to 8.2% of the total population to make the India's second largest concentration of the tribal community of the world. It was given as per census 2001. Historically, there are 7 major tribes in India. There are 533 tribals as notified by the Article 342, very important as per the Constitution of India. The prominent tribal areas constitute a 15% of the total geographical area of the country and correspond largely to the underdeveloped area of the country. So we have these many tribes. We have the Gonds, which is located, we have the Bhils, we have the Santhals, we have the Minas, we have the Orangs, we have the Mundas, we have the Kots. When I share the slides, you can find the list where they are occupying in which place. Our traditional Adivasi characteristics. Today we use the word Adivasis because it is well defined. Subsistence, non-accumulative economy, living in small communities tightly knit by kin and labor, pooling custom, players' defenses and their resource bases through crucial to their livelihood, non-literate song and dance-based culture, and patriarchal social structure. So, British policy in Adivasi was in forest departments, extension of selected agriculture, zamindari, we had the Rohitwari land grant settlements, we had introduction of the non-Adivasi settlers above the policies. Adivasis were pushed and planned in the areas of the bedstead, and Adivasis fought for the injustice which happened to them and promotion of Adivasis through the movement. So, tribals and their constitutional rights, 20 articles, redressal, upliftment and underprivileged, recognizing special needs of SCs. The Constitution of India has certain special safeguard to protect these communities for all possible explanations to ensure. So I have also put together the articles in the Constitution for the tribe, which I will share you with the slide. Please go through the 5th schedule of the Constitution very carefully, 6th also, which talks about the tribals. Tribals and forest rights, they are inhabitation of the hilly forest areas. They are dependent majorly on the forest. It has a symbolic interaction in the forest area and some other survive on the minor forest. And tribals are used forests for Forest Conservation Act. They have the National Forest Act also, as well as special safeguards for the tribe. But there are various issues in the country regarding the tribe, which has become very important for discussion when we talk about UPSC and other things. So I think today I have spoken much. So next lecture I will like to talk about the tribal and displacement issues and many other issues which are there about the tribals. So I will mail the slides to your ma'am so that it can reach you. Thank you very much for today, and thank you, ma'am, if you are there. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much. Again, Monday, 2:30 we will meet, and I'll continue